How's it going, guys? Pete here, financial coach. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is kind of building on a video that I did a while back on how we help people. And one of the things is I just had a conversation with another financial coach. And what I realized here is that I want to talk a little bit kind of about the niche that you're going to fill. And the real key here is that you want to be where your clients want to go, if that makes sense, right? And I think this is a good way to kind of establish your early niche and then continue to evolve and pivot because you are going to develop, right? So if you are, say, a single mother and you've been raising a child and you've made it work and you've saved money, right? This is a great place to go. And what I normally hear is people that say, hey, I want to work with people like me. Well, the reality is you do, but you kind of want to work with people who are an earlier version of you. So in this case, if you're a single mother, you've made it work, you figured out how to raise a kid, you've figured out how to have an income, balance life. Well, that's great. And so, yes, the other single mothers who are interested in learning from you on this are going to be great prospects, but they are the ones that are probably going to be struggling with it because now what you can do is add that practical advice in for those people that are trying to get there. And that's going to be a huge value. But now, once they get there, you're going to be, a similar person to them, right? You're going to be a peer to them. And what's going to be hard is that you are going to not be able to kind of give them the roadmap that you did when they were getting there. Now, hopefully over time you're also developing, right? Now you're getting kids out of the house and hopefully that path for you is also evolving. So as people are kind of moving along it. But there's this phenomenon that's going to happen is if you have discovered this path over a certain amount of time and now you give everyone the shortcuts to doing it, they are probably going to accomplish it in a shorter amount of time, which is great, which is one of the things that we want to do as a financial coach. But as those people get crept up to you much closer, think of the Apple iPhone. It took Apple 5 years to make it, but it only took companies a couple years to copy them because they already knew what they needed to do. They knew what the features looked like, right? When pinch to zoom was already developed, all they had to do was copy it, not actually sit down and think about it. So those people are going to move and you're going to have to move too. And so when you're thinking about your niche, think about how can I help people that were like me a few years ago, that were like me 10 years ago, that were like me 6 months ago. It doesn't really matter, but how can I help people get where I'm going? And it's got to be people that want to go where you're going. So for me, one of the things that I think about, and one of the things that I've worked a lot with people in the last couple of years here is I was a big believer in side hustles long before they kind of became popular and long before they were considered side hustles, right? I was just doing odd jobs and, I sold hot dogs at the racetrack on the weekends and I, worked a virtual call center in the evenings, and I've just done a ton of different things. And some of those will probably be pretty interesting. I could go into those. But what I realized is that through my experience on it, kind of started to learn how you determine what's a worthwhile side hustle and what's not, and how to balance the work life and how to think of side hustles in terms of either generating income or generating kind of mental release for you or giving you a new social outlet. You're right. There are different aspects of the side hustle that I experienced personally. So now I can speak to them. So as someone who's out there, doing side hustles, I can actually speak to people who are out there thinking about side hustles and help them think about all the things that they haven't thought about yet, right? Do they need to try to plug an income gap right now, or is it not really about the money, right? So that can help them think through that, share my experiences with them, share the pros, cons on both sides. If they're thinking about a particular side hustle, like driving for Uber or shopping with Instacart, right? Because I've tried those and I've observed people doing it and spoken with people that have capitalized on it and some people who have left, right? I can give them some of the inside baseball on it, and that's really helpful. So I can help bring them along the path that I've already traversed, and that's a great value because not only can I tell them generally in high level, but if they want to go into the details, if they want to talk about the tactics, if they want to talk about the specifics, I can help them. And I can help people go from thinking about a side hustle to actually doing a side hustle. And so that's one of the areas that's really been a key for me because I've had some expertise in there, and people like being able to think through that and think about the things that they haven't thought about before. So maybe it is you starting late in retirement and you can work with all the other people who are starting late in retirement. Maybe you have bought a house and sold a house and bought another house, right? So maybe refinance. So maybe you can work with the people who are thinking about buying that house the first time, or maybe buying their first real estate investment property, or thinking about refinancing because you've already done it, right? It's not the theoretical. It's not you've read the process of buying a house. You've read some of the the legal requirements and what the roles of the realtor and the mortgage broker are, right? You can speak to it and say, hey, this is what you can expect. And, they're going to take you to these houses and give them some of that inside look. And that's going to add a lot of credibility. And it's going to be much more comforting to the people to know that you've done it before and that you can share it. So that's one way I think that figuring out what your initial niche is going to be is just figure out what is something that I've done that I can work with the people who are at the beginning stage of that and bring them along. Who are the people that want to be where I am right now? Because whether you're very successful or moderately successful or even successful in the small things, and maybe you're not financially successful, maybe you're successful in some other area of life, right? You can experience that. But what I don't want to necessarily do is go to a life coach who hasn't mastered life. Or what I don't want to do is talk to someone about budgeting who hasn't mastered their own budget, right? I want some expertise in that area that they have lived and breathed and internalized on their own, and take that opportunity to pick their brain about not only the strategies, but the tactics and the how-tos and the pitfalls and the potholes to avoid. So hopefully that helps you. Find the people that are where you were that want to go where you are. Hopefully that helps. Talk to you later.